Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction and brings us guests who provide useful information on industry-related topics and trends. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk, KGVO. Today on Missoula Real Estate Today, we have Nick Dodge. Nick is an agent with Clearwater, Montana Properties. Welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today.
Thank you, Denny. I appreciate it. Excited to be here. Pretty cool opportunity.
First off, you being with Clearwater, Montana Properties, what is your relationship with Diane Beck and Windermere Real Estate?
To be honest with you, Denny, I don't know Diane too well, but I do know Becky pretty well. I know we visited about her. Becky and I go way back to the college days here at good old UM. So
Good.
I was here from 2010 to 2015, so go Grizz. But that's how I got to know Becky, and she's been a good friend since, and kind of told me about you and the show and if I'd be interested in doing it. And I thought, heck yeah, what an opportunity. So,
well, yeah, we welcome all Grizz here on Missoula Real Estate Today.
Even if they don't work for the same real estate company.
Exactly. Your background, how long have you been in the real estate biz, and what led you to Clearwater, Montana Properties?
Yeah, so it's been going on about 2 years now, so not a huge length of time. But, I actually have a human biology degree from UM, so it was definitely a big change of pace. But I actually got to know my partner now, and he's a part owner in Clearwater. Thor Sickland is his name, through a good friend of mine and kind of a hunting buddy. So I ended up hunting out in Phillipsburg and getting to know Thor, and he had approached me about, getting into real estate, and I kind of wasn't really interested, to be honest at first, but just after visiting with him and seeing what he does and getting to learn a little bit about that, it kind of interested me, and I thought I wasn't doing anything with my degree, so at the moment, so I thought heck, why not? And it was a really good opportunity. I feel pretty fortunate to have it, so that's kind of how it all started.
It's a process of finding your way when you become a realtor, but it must have had a pretty positive impact on you early in your career.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's a great point. It does take some time. I always encourage new agents that I talk to. You definitely have to at least give it a year or two to kind of get going, which can be hard. Not everyone can do that for whatever reason. But Thor, my partner, he's been awesome. He's my mentor and partner, and that definitely made a huge difference in me kind of making it this far. So.
And the office, your Clearwater, Montana Properties, there are many around the state, but your Clearwater, Montana Properties office is in Phillipsburg. Why Phillipsburg?
That's right, good old Peaburg. So like I said, my buddy that I was hunting with kind of showed me the area, and Thor is, like a third or fourth generation born and raised in Phillipsburg. Wow. So that's where, he started and where he got things going. So, I was just out hunting with Jason, my buddy, and got to know Thor there, and really I could go, just about to any of our offices. Like you said, we're all over the state of Montana, and largely in the western part of the state. But, it was just kind of a starting place for me, and it's worked out well, so.
This is Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate, and our guest is Nick Dodge. Nick is an agent with Clearwater, Montana Properties. Now, Nick, the name itself kind of stands out in my mind. You're not Clearwater Real Estate. You're not Clearwater Realty. What message is the name Clearwater, Montana Properties trying to convey?
And you hit it on the head, Denny. I think that's obviously the idea, is to stand out and kind of be different. When Clearwater, Montana Properties was actually a merging of two companies some time ago, and Thor, who I work with, was the owner of, it was called Waldbillig Realty, which was in Phillipsburg, and Kevin Weatherall, who's the owner of, I believe it was Clearwater River Realty in Sealy. So Thor, I know we talked a little about our sports affiliation. Thor pursued that affiliation some time ago, and it originally started as Cabela's Trophy Properties. Sports Afield actually bought Cabela's out a little while ago, and that affiliation was something that Kevin really wanted. So he approached Thor about partnering up, and so they, I guess, decided on the Clearwater, Montana properties is kind of how that came about. So.
And we want to talk about that, go into detail on that a little bit with Montana hunting season starting up, of course. Sports Afield Trophy Properties. You are an exclusive broker in Montana, which sounds like a distinction to be proud of. What all does that entail?
Yeah, we're very proud of that, Denny. And it's I feel really fortunate to be able to have that as a marketing tool. It's definitely like you said, exclusive to Montana. Sports Afield is actually the oldest kind of outdoor sporting company in the States. It's up there with Outdoor Life and Field and Stream and companies like that. So that's some people that aren't aware of what Sports Field is. That's kind of what I compare it to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to do. Obviously, Sports Afield is kind of correlated with the hunting, fishing, really anything outdoors. So with a lot of our properties, it just makes perfect sense to have a company like that marketing those properties. And really where we gain a lot of value out of that is just our reach, getting out into, online obviously is huge these days. Our Sports Field magazine, a lot of our listings go in the Sports Field magazine, which has quite the reach. So it just goes to, getting those properties seen and getting the numbers out there, trying to get things sold.
Yeah, I guess I'm showing my age here. All I really remember about Sports Field was that monthly magazine. Usually had a lovely painting on the cover of a rainbow trout about to come up and grab the fly.
You betcha.
Or an elk in the meadow or whatnot. So Sports Field magazine, and they partner with you in what way? You said they place advertising in their magazines and of course all their online publications and all of that. So they've entered into I don't know if exclusive is the right word, but they've entered into a partnership with you at Clearwater Montana Properties. And so anything that you have to show or to list, then Sports Afield readers are going to see that?
Yep, exactly. So Sports Afield magazine and Sports Afield Trophy Properties are kind of sister companies, I guess would be a good way to describe it. And yeah, so Sports Field is essentially let me go back. Sports Field Trophy Properties is kind of like almost an MLS for those types of properties. Some other similar companies out there would be like Land Leader, if anyone's familiar with that. But yeah, exactly. It's they take dollars and put those properties out into Lands of America and Land.com, and some of those similar websites to like Zillow and Realtor.com, but geared more towards the land and the recreational property. So that's kind of how Sports Field works things, and yeah, like you said, we are exclusive for the state of Montana, and they do have other real estate companies that work with them in other states too. So.
Well, you must have been doing pretty good, to be Sports Afield worthy. I would think they don't just pluck any realtor off the street, do they?
Well, I absolutely feel fortunate, to be able to have that, and it did take a little bit of a recommendation. But I think the people that helped me out and got me going, were the people that Sports Afield, knows do very well, and they trust them a lot, and so I kind of had a good in there to be able to be a part of that. So.
Missoula Real Estate today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate, and our guest Nick Dodge, an agent with Clearwater Montana Properties. They have offices all over the state and beyond, really, but Nick is based in Phillipsburg. What is it about selling you mentioned when we were asking you about your background that you're an avid angler and a hunter. Besides that, what is it about selling the wide open spaces that appeals to you so much?
Oh, Denny, I think it's just it's kind of funny. I one I guess kind of negative thing I've seen in the real estate are these poor out of state people. A lot of them get kind of a bad reputation, and someone might say, "Oh, that darn out of stater bought that property," or something like that. But, these people want to be here just as bad as we do, and they love Montana just, like we do. And I mean, you can't blame them, So I love just getting out with folks like that and sharing, my stories and my experiences and why I love, Montana. It's just to see people that are that excited about it. I think sometimes, being from here, kind of, take it for granted a little bit. Once in a while, definitely, and just to be able to work with those folks and kind of remind myself of what I really have out my back door is pretty cool.
So you get to be the tour guide. You have a fair amount of your client base that they've got that Montana dream in the back of their head. They're not quite sure how to define it yet, but at least they got it in there. And so are some of your clients, they've never been to Montana or very, very little, but they know there's something there that's drawing them back.
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely worked with, seen a little bit of everything as far as that goes. I've, seen people that, maybe were from Montana originally, but had to, leave for work or maybe the military or something like that. And then also, folks that actually have never been here before. So that one is always, interesting and always fun. To show those people around and again, just kind of share with them, the things that we have here that, we're so fortunate to have. So, but no, that's a great way to put it. The tour guide, it definitely is something to that. I've definitely become a better tour guide, I think, over the past couple of years. So.
Well, and I think that's because of the passion for the product you have. I mean, you're obviously enamored with the lifestyle. You've lived it. You've grown up, doing it and things like that. And so I would assume a guy like you can show it with pride.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're totally right. And I think those people realize that, our clients, when they see us showing the property and see how much, like you said, that pride we have, and how much we love it also, I think they see that and, definitely respect that and, think that's pretty neat as well. So
in places like Montana that are so vast, what are some of the tools involved that help give you, the kind of insights you need to be successful, or that you need to make a presentation like the ones you were just talking about?
Sure. Well, I think the internet today, is a big help. But other than that, just getting out there and, seeing the state. I've worked as far as Ekalaka, Montana, Broadus, on some ranch properties over there. So I feel like I've been to a lot of parts of the state and, definitely learned a lot. There's places I still haven't been for sure. But yeah, I think I'd say that's probably the biggest thing is kind of just getting out there and really learning about, there's areas of the state or whether it's your local kind of area. I'm born and raised in Butte and went to school here in Missoula, so I definitely know these areas better than other. But there's always something to learn, and
Sure.
You can always check out a new area and stuff like that. But one thing I do want to kind of point out, Denny, is I use Onyx maps a lot. I know you guys are probably familiar with Onyx here in Missoula.
They're based right down the road here.
They are, just right down on Brooks there.
They're on Brooks Street, across from the Holiday Village.
Yeah, they have a really nice new building down there. And Eric Siegfried, is the founder of Onyx and has become a friend over the past couple of years as Thor knew Eric when he was kind of trying to get things going and just a little startup company going to the sports shows at the Adams Center and in Bozeman to try and get his product out there. And Onyx is just such a cool tool. I know it's definitely geared more towards the hunters and outdoorsmen and stuff for property lines, but it's just been amazing for real estate as well. And so I always have to shout out Eric and the team at Onyx, and those guys are awesome.
And the minute you brought that up, it's going through my head. I'm trying to remember what they called that business originally, because when it started out, it was not on X Map. Somebody out there listening will know, and they'll try to call and tell us, but I cannot remember what they called it. But it's been on X for quite a while now.
Yeah, I hope someone does too, because I've definitely heard that, and I can't remember off the top of my head either.
Yeah, it might pop into my head while I'm visiting with you.
I'll have to text Eric.
Well, and to the point you were making prior to us talking about on X, you really have to know your stuff to sell that lifestyle, don't you? Don't be out there trying to fool prospective hunters and anglers.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a kind of a gap to bridge. Definitely, Denny. These clients have to trust you, and it's definitely a big part of our job. To be able to do that, there's, again, the tools you can use. On a hunting property, I use a lot of trail cameras. So, I'm not going to tell someone there's great hunting and not have something to back that up. And say, because hey, the game's here.
That's probably the perception, isn't it? Oh, I'm going to buy me 160 acres of land in Montana, which you can hardly even move without bumping into an elk. I'm sure that's probably the perception to a certain extent, and you got to manage expectations.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I think a lot of people, also know what they're looking for. Again, a lot of, folks may have been from and kind of have a pretty good idea. But yeah, someone might just say, hey, I'm looking for a good piece of hunting property. So, from whatever, 100 to 1,000 acres or 50 acres or, whatever it might be. But yeah, and that definitely, I definitely have a responsibility to do my research on these properties and make sure I'm not, selling something that, when someone gets out there, it's out in the middle of, prairie or something, and there's not a jackrabbit around or, something like that. So.
Well, and I suppose one of the other questions you have to ask when that comes up is, okay, what is it you would like to hunt?
Absolutely. We know how big Montana is, and, how different the populations of the game can be in different parts of the state. Usually folks know, what kind of area they want to be in. It might be the Crazy Mountains, or it might be Phillipsburg, or it might just be Western Montana or Northwestern Montana. So as much as we can narrow it down is, absolutely makes my job a little bit easier. But yeah, or it might be, like you said, mule deer or whitetail deer or elk. Elk is obviously the kind of the more common one here in the Rocky Mountains. So, and a guy might be looking for something where he's going to kill a great big bull every year, or there's folks out there that are just happy to be able to hunt and interact with the animals, and a lot of times they have those properties, for other recreational purposes too. So.
Are you noticing any more inquiries about a specific area of the state of Montana, or is it just still kind of all over? Or Nick, what do you have at this?
Yeah, you bet. And I think since I'm kind of based in the western part of the state, I definitely get more inquiries for this part of the state. Definitely work with a lot more buyers or get a lot more leads, for western Montana.
Sure.
But, eastern Montana or central Montana, we call it the Far East and the Middle East. No offense to those eastern Montana folks, but
right.
Definitely probably for me, the western part of the state. And I would say overall, folks just really, I think when you think of Montana, you kind of think of the mountains and the streams and the elk and stuff like that. So we definitely get that more often. And I tell you what, these past couple weeks, it has really kind of taken off. I think we've, people realize winter's coming, so they're trying to, look at some properties before that happens and sets in. So it's been a little hectic lately.
Yeah, and naturally with an eye to hunting seasons, as we mentioned, those are getting going, and a fairly short window on a lot of those. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate, and our guest, Nick Dodge, an agent with Clearwater, Montana Properties. And Nick, I know that you're still in the fairly early stages of your career, but what changes or trends have you seen, if any, in the buying habits of prospective clients looking for acreage? More or less selective, particular requirements, and in what ways are you maybe seeing some changes in what those customers want?
Sure. I think generally, Denny, especially kind of right in our immediate area, you get a lot of folks, looking for maybe 5 or 10 acres or something, and everyone wants a creek on their property, of course,
Yeah.
which is hard to find. But again, you can't blame them. But and that's also, that 5 to 10 acres or maybe 20 acres for a lot of folks is in that affordable range, where you can get a nice piece of property and maybe build a home, a retirement home, or maybe a hunting cabin or something like that.
Right.
So a lot of folks looking for something like that. And I'd say that's been pretty consistent, since I've started. And I think definitely have seen kind of the ranch and recreational real estate kind of take off a little bit for me personally. Probably just has to do with me being in the industry a little longer now and getting to know some people and getting some clients and kind of a client base. So definitely keeps me busy. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit of everything. You kind of hear a little bit of everything. Maybe off-grid properties also. A lot of folks like that idea because again, it's a lot more affordable for a lot of people. People like in Montana, they like their privacy too. So you definitely get that with that as well.
Yeah, there'll always be that solitude factor, won't there? It's just I want enough acreage that my closest neighbor really isn't very close.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely see that a lot.
Well, let's go over some of your current listings, Nick, with Clearwater, Montana properties. So we can give listeners an idea of the kinds of properties you like to focus on. You may feel free to go over one of those or as many as you like.
All righty, sounds good, Denny. Kind of before I get into it, I definitely have to, a little shout out to Diane and Becky and thank them as well for letting me, come onto this program and kind of promote some of my stuff as well. So that's pretty neat.
Well, it's who you know. You know Becky Whitehouse. So
yeah, you bet. Good thing, but I think. As far as the kind of hunting and larger property goes, I have a really nice listing in Elk Park, which is about 10 minutes north of Butte, 15 minutes north of Butte. If you're heading towards Helena on the interstate, you come up the hill there, and there's a great, big, beautiful valley, and we call that Elk Park, and they don't call it Elk Park for nothing.
Okay.
So that's a great elk hunting property. It started out as 3 160-acre parcels, and they're all adjacent. So it was 480 acres together. That backs up against the Forest Service. We also get a lot of folks that like that idea, because then you have thousands and thousands of acres, kind of in your backyard to be able to take advantage of. So, but yeah, those properties are really good hunting pieces. They, they're pretty affordable for what's out there right now in that kind of acreage range. You're looking, about $2,000 an acre or so, and definitely that recreational aspect kind of plays into that value. So, I've had some folks look at those for agricultural purposes as well, for some summer grazing for their cattle or whatever it might be, and just that area too. Even if you don't get an elk on your property or whatever, you can drive down the road and like I said, that Forest Service is right there, and there's mountain lakes in the area for your fishing, and you have Lowland Creek and the Boulder River really close by, and so just kind of goes back to the things that I talked about that we have right outside our back door, and those properties are just about perfect for something like that. Otherwise, let's see. I have a really nice
You're
log
so busy
home
and successful, Nick. I know you've got more than you can possibly recall.
I need a list here.
Yeah. Throw out another one there if you can.
You bet. I have a really neat horse property in the Butte area. It's up it's called the Vigilante subdivision in the Beef Trail area in Butte. And I know I've talked about these Butte area listings, just being from Butte and stuff, work over there a lot too. Right. But yeah, but this property is it's a one level, beautiful home, top of the line finishes. It was just done, just really nice. It's got a beautiful 3-car attached garage, It's got a top of the line, nearly brand new 3-stall horse barn with three stalls, tack room, and kind of some storage in there as well. And out the barn, you have steel corrals, kind of top of the line, everything, and it's on 20 acres also, so you've got some room for the horses to run around. And then kind of on the opposite side of the barn is it's about like an 80 by 100 foot riding arena, outdoor riding arena. So with the top line kind of sand fill for the horses, and just a really, really beautiful property for the horse lover. So and the person that wants to treat their horse also. So I'm trying to think over in the Phillipsburg area. I've got 20 acres. There's a little pond there. It's called Croger's Pond, and it's just a little ways south of Phillipsburg. If you take Rumsey Road, which actually, Denny, is where the new road to Discovery is taken off from. I don't know if you guys have heard any buzz.
Discovery is amazingly close to Phillipsburg. As a matter of fact, yes, that did catch my ear. Yeah, you bet.
I know a lot of folks come from the Missoula area to Discovery Discovery Ski Hill, and for a kind of a smaller mountain, it's really great skiing. They get great snow, and it's just 10 or 15 minutes now with the new road from Phillipsburg, and then you have the brewery in town, of course, that everyone likes to enjoy, and the candy store and stuff like that. So, but anyway, this listing is right up Rumsey Road, so it'll be about 2-3 miles from the base of the ski hill, and it's 20 acres, and it actually is on both sides of the pond, so it does come with roughly a third of the pond, and I say pond, it's a good sized pond, or more or less a small lake. So,
okay.
And it comes with water rights to that pond, and it also comes with a trout stocking permit from the Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, which is pretty unique and kind of cool. So if a person wants to, they can stock cutthroat and rainbow trout in there and have a kind of a neat little fishing spot down there too.
Well, terrific! You got a lot on your plate. Let me. I want to back up just with one or two questions about. The first one you mentioned that you're offering one of the parcels at Elk Park, the one that's about 15 miles north of Butte, and you mentioned that it's a 160-acre parcel, I believe, and there are 3 of them, so 480 acres. The temptation would be to subdivide, and subdivide some more. Why was there a commitment to just the 3?
Sure. That would, as far as where I come in, I just promote and market that property as, the owners have them. And I think just the owners on those, they didn't want to or don't want to subdivide any further because it definitely would be, good potential there to do that. But kind of the folks that have been looking at those, that's, kind of what they want them for is to have that, larger, kind of chunk and have that privacy and stuff. And they don't want to, be running into any other neighbors as well. So,
hey, a special thank you to some of Diane Beck's marketing partners that help bring you Missoula Real Estate Today every week. Rob Fleming with Man Mortgage, Miles Link of Opportunity Bank of Montana, and Carol Blodgett from MakeItMissoula.com. Our guest, Nick Dodge, an agent with Clearwater, Montana Properties. Believe it or not, Nick, we are pretty much out of time, but before I let you go, we got to have contact information. Right?
Yeah, you betcha.
How do we find you? How do we get a hold of you and all of that?
You betcha, Denny. A good way to find me is our website, cmpmontana.com.
Yeah.
You can definitely go there and find me. Otherwise, as far as personal contact info, email, my cell phone is probably the best way to reach me. It's just Nick, Nick, at cmpmontana.com. And otherwise, my cell is, like I said, I check that, always have that on me. And always checking the email on the good old iPhone, and it's just 406-593-2666. So if anyone wants to give me a shout out or shoot me a text, they have questions or really anything real estate related, definitely feel free to do so.
Well, you have been a wonderful guest, and I wish you continued success with Clearwater, Montana Properties.
And thank you, Denny. Thank you guys for having me. Like I said, a great opportunity. I really appreciate it. And thanks again to Diane and Becky for setting things up.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today. Contact Diane Beck with Windermere Real Estate. Email dianebeck@realtor.com or visit her website, homesinmissoula.com. That's homesinmissoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.